It was a typical Saturday morning, the sun filtering through the curtains and casting a warm glow across my desk. I sat in front of my computer, fingers poised over the keyboard, ready to dive into another day of writing. But as I glanced down, I was met with a sight that made me cringe. My keyboard, once a pristine expanse of keys, was now a graveyard of crumbs, dust, and mysterious specks that had accumulated over the weeks. It was time for a much-needed cleaning. I had seen various methods for cleaning keyboards, from compressed air to elaborate disassembly, but today I decided to keep it simple. I had heard of a technique involving tape, which seemed straightforward enough. Armed with a roll of clear tape and a sense of determination, I set out on my cleaning mission. I started by tearing off a long strip of tape, feeling its sticky surface between my fingers. I pressed the tape down onto the keys, applying just enough pressure to capture the debris without risking any damage. As I peeled it away, I was surprised by the amount of dust and crumbs that clung to the tape. It was almost alarming to see the remnants of snacks I had absent-mindedly munched on during late-night writing sessions. A few rogue popcorn kernels and what I could only assume were the remains of a granola bar were now glaring back at me from the tape's surface. With each strip of tape, I felt a sense of satisfaction. It was as if I was peeling away layers of neglect, revealing the keyboard's true potential beneath the grime. The process was oddly therapeutic, a rhythmic cycle of pressing, peeling, and revealing. I found myself lost in the task, the mundane nature of it allowing my mind to wander. I thought about how often we overlook the small things in our lives, letting them accumulate until they become overwhelming. Cleaning the keyboard became a metaphor for the clutter in my own mind, a reminder to address the little messes before they turned into something bigger. As I continued, I discovered that the tape was not just effective at picking up dirt, but also at revealing the little nuances of my keyboard. I had never paid much attention to the tiny symbols and letters on the keys, but as I cleaned, I noticed how the light reflected off the surfaces, making them almost sparkle. It was a small detail, but it made me appreciate the craftsmanship of the keyboard itself. Each key was a tiny portal to a world of words and ideas, and here I was, giving it the care it deserved. After a while, I took a break to examine my progress. The keyboard looked remarkably different. The once dull and grimy keys now shone brightly, the letters crisp and clear. I felt a sense of pride in my work. Cleaning it with tape had not only made it look better, but also made me feel more connected to my writing space. It was as if I had cleared away the distractions, both physical and mental, allowing me to focus more intently on my craft. Of course, the process was not without its challenges. I found that the tape had a tendency to stick to my fingers, and I had to be careful not to accidentally pick up more than just dust and crumbs. There were moments of frustration when the tape would tear unexpectedly, leaving me with a half-cleaned key and a need for a new strip. But each minor setback only added to the experience, reminding me of the importance of patience and persistence. As I reached the final keys, I felt a sense of accomplishment wash over me. I had transformed my keyboard from a neglected tool into a sparkling instrument of creativity. The act of cleaning had become a celebration of my writing journey, a reminder that even the smallest tasks can lead to profound revelations. It was a simple act, yet it had brought clarity to my space and my mind. Once I finished, I sat back and admired my work. The keyboard looked brand new, and I couldn't help but run my fingers over the keys, feeling the smoothness beneath my touch. I turned my attention to the screen, ready to type, but I paused for a moment. The clarity of the keyboard seemed to have brought a sense of clarity to my thoughts as well. Ideas began to flow more freely, and I found myself typing with renewed vigor. In that moment, I realized that cleaning my keyboard with tape was more than just a chore. It was a ritual. It was a way to reconnect with my writing, to clear away distractions, and create a space that felt inviting and inspiring. The tape had become a tool of transformation, not just for my keyboard, but for my entire writing process. As I reflected on the experience, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the simple things in life. A roll of tape, a bit of time, and a willingness to engage in a seemingly mundane task had led to a surprising journey of discovery. I had learned to appreciate the little details, both in my workspace and in my life. The act of cleaning had become a metaphor for renewal, a reminder that sometimes all it takes is a little effort to uncover the beauty that lies beneath the surface. With a smile on my face, I resumed typing, feeling the keys beneath my fingers as if they were singing a new song. The keyboard, now a beacon of clarity, had reignited my passion for writing. I knew that every time I sat down to create, I would remember the day I cleaned my keyboard with tape, and how that simple act had transformed not just my workspace, but my entire outlook on the creative process.